Welcome everyone! In this video, we are in the Great League showcasing a very fun team featuring Shadow Excadrill. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by Granny Singapore, one of my longtime viewers and a member of my Discord. Granny Singapore recently hit Legend and wanted to have some post-Legend fun with Shadow Excadrill. Now, by no means is this a team to climb with, but it will be a showcase, and you are in for a treat, a showcase of what a very skilled trainer can do with a very fun Pokemon and a very competitive open Great League. So, big thanks, as always, to Granny Singapore for the battle submissions. Always very much appreciated, and without further ado, let's dive right in. Definitely do not try this at home, but I am definitely excited to see Excadrill in the Great League. And here we go, Shadow on Shadow Gligar. That is not a positive matchup for Shadow Excadrill. Just a little too squishy. It's kind of crazy. Gligar actually wins that matchup in the twos, going straight Aerial Ace. So going to bring in Azu here. Tank the dig. Azu's going to be the damage sponge on this team, if you can imagine. And Granny Singapore going to look to go for the double super effective Ice Beam here, grabbing a shield that would one-shot Shadow Gligar, and something in the back doesn't want to see an Azumarill. It's not a Basti, which is what they do catch this Ice Beam on. Very nice catch by the opponent. And Azu is actually healthy enough to make it to a Hydro Pump here, so if the Basti doesn't throw in time, and the Azu does make it to the Hydro Pump, but of course Bastiodon can tank this and should tank this, knowing that there's an Excadrill lurking. And speaking of, Granny Singapore going to pivot right back into that Excadrill, and actually gonna let the Flamethrower go, and survives. Absolutely insane that Excadrill survives that on 1 HP, and going to BM with a Drill Run as a Rock Slide would KO. Get him the shield, a double resisted move. You love to see it. The shields are now down on the opponent's end, and Shadow A9 here is primed to perhaps sweep. It's going to come down to what they have in the back, and oh, Shadow A9 is eating good tonight. Holy smokes. That's what didn't want to see that Sableye. That's why they were shielding, to protect that Sableye in the back from a fairy, but Granny Singapore had two strong fairies on the. We take out the Gligar. Shadow A9 sweeps. Good game, well played to them. Shadow Excadrill, a very fun Pokemon for the Great League. Hits like an absolute truck, if you can imagine. And here we go, Lickitung lead. Very common lead here. Not a positive matchup for Excadrill, but the damage cannot be denied and can often come in handy when you need to employ a team effort on a Pokemon like Lickitung. Going for the Drill Run, doing over half health on one of the tankiest Pokemon in the Great League. Holy smokes. And gonna have to shield the resisted Body Slam. This thing, not known for its bulk whatsoever. And they pivot into a Gligar. So, from team reading, Licky League, Gligar, pivot, could be a Medi in the back. That's generally what you see. Although you could also see something like a Carbink. I have seen that as well. So Gligar does tank the Rock Slide. It does boatloads of damage. And now going to throw Azumarill in here to put in work on this Gligar here. And Azumarill's very bulky, can actually just go for an aggressive Bubble Down, and that is what it looks like Granny Singapore is doing here. Can easily tank two of these digs from the Gligar, and they will not make it to another move in time. Azu caps on energy, and is absolutely loaded here for this Lickitung. Shields are still up on their end. Gonna go for the Ice Beam, as he can make it to a second Ice Beam here. It won't KO, but we'll be getting the Licky quite low if they choose to let it go. They did shield out of caution. Something in the back maybe doesn't want to see an Azu. No other reason to shield that. And oh, it's the Carbink variation, and holy smokes, Excadrill is going to have a field day with this Carbink. Shields are even. We are in the one shield scenario here. Gotta shield the resisted Rock Slide again. It stinks to have to shield resisted damage, but the trade-off and how much damage this thing can put out is often very much well worth it. Gonna go for the Drill Run and grab a shield from the Carbink, and now just gonna overload as much as possible. The Mud Shots will chip this into Drill Run range. Holy smokes, shields are down. We are saying bye-bye to the Carbink, and we've got another Drill Run locked and loaded to finish off the Licky. Shadow A9 doesn't even see the field. We're taking out the Licky as well. Holy smokes. Excadrill coming in clutch. Good game, well played. My goodness, the damage that this thing can put out, and a very good team behind it as well here. Here we go. Sableye, not the best lead. Excadrill does not win this under any even energy circumstance, but gonna look to fire off a drill run and likely grab a very early shield from the Sableye, and does. Gonna pivot now into Azumarill. Azumarill on this team to draw out a potential steel type. So the Excadrill come in, take out that opposing steel type, and allow Charmaine to sweep. That is how the team is designed here. And we do draw out not a steel type, but a Drapion. And because they met the Azu with the Drapion, there's a very good chance that they're running Sludge Bomb. They are. It's not a Shadow, so it doesn't do nearly as much damage. And they will outpace to another potential Sludge Bomb here. But Excadrill is primed to come in here and perhaps maybe not even need to throw a move. Yeah, these Shadow Mud Shots are absolutely chunking away this Drapion here. Could easily shield this and Mud Shot this thing down. And the energy the Excadrill will have on the back end is absolutely terrifying. Holy smokes. And it's a triple dark line. Why, my goodness. Charmaine in the back is looking very good up against the opponent's team here. Gonna throw with proper timing on one Mud Shot. If you run a 2-turn up against the 3-turn, you'll want to be throwing on 1, 4, 7, or 10. And Granny Singapore is doing exactly that. Gonna throw on 4 here. Proper timing yet again. Very important when you're up against the 3-turn fast move. And now it is time to unleash Charmaine upon the remainder of this team. The execution against this opponent's team was absolutely brilliant by Granny Singapore, drawing out the one dark type in the back that could give A9 problems in Drapion and getting rid of it. Now Charmaine, as we can see, is roaming free, wreaking havoc, can easily survive this foul play here. And the Weather Ball will take out the Sableye. Holy smokes, again. Brilliant execution by Granny Singapore. And it looks like the opponent realized they made a terrible team-building error in making themselves ABA weak to Charm, as it looks like they did. I force close the app. Good game, well played to them. Man, what a fun pick to have some post-legend fun in the Great League. Big thanks to Granny Singapore for the submission. Here we go. Gligar, non-shadow. Not a positive lead for Exca here, but the rock slides do hit pretty darn hard, if you can imagine, from a Shadow Excadrill. They do let that go, and now it is Azu time. And they meet the Azu with a Sand Slash, also non-shadow. So this is okay, pretty neutral. The drill runs, of course, are not going to be doing nearly as much, but it is running Shadow Claw, which really comes in handy for this Azumarill matchup. A lot of heated debate in the community on what's the right fast move for the Great League on A-Slash, and my answer is it really depends on your team comp. I would recommend having 2 if you can, but if you only have 1, Shadow Claw is going to be the most consistent overall in the Great League. And they do go drill run there. And now Granny Singapore can actually shield this here to control the alignment, as Shadow A9 and Gligar can do quite well. Gonna look to just bubble down this Sand Slash, leave with loaded energy to threaten whatever comes in. But gonna catch the loaded dig, presumably on the A9 to preserve that energy. Very interesting play there. We don't know what's in the back, but these Shadow Charms, of course, are absolutely chunking. And now we'll likely have to shield another dig and preserve the A9 here. It's a Medicham, but the Medicham, I think, is just a little too healthy here. That is the one Pokemon you do not want to see remaining with an Excadrill still in the back. So yeah, this doesn't seem to be trending in the right direction, but let's see if Granny Singapore can pull off a miracle here. Medicham gonna throw some energy at this Azu, knowing that Azu has loaded energy. Azu lives the Ice Punch, gonna go for the Ice Beam. Will not make it to another Ice Beam though on 1 HP, and now we have to see if Excadrill can pull off a miracle here. Does make it to the Rock Slide. Gonna go Rock Slide. It will KO, but just in case they want to catch on Gligar, I would presume. But yeah, I don't think Exca is gonna quite make it. Yeah, couldn't quite get this one done. That's a rough team comp to come up against, but Granny Singapore made it as close as possible. Holy smokes. Good game, well played. This ABB style team is proving to support the very squishy Excadrill quite well. Squishy yet very hard hitting. Here we go. Shadow Venusaur. Excadrill can do quite all right here in the twos and should probably look to play out the twos given what we have in the back. Venusaur, of course, an absolute nightmare for our two fairies in the back. Venusaur does give up a very early shield on the first drill run. And Granny Singapore are going to return the shield here. Excadrill just outpaces Venusaur and is basically within drill run range here. Goes for the extra, although winning CMP tie, just to get that extra edge, get that extra energy sneak there. But they do get one Vine Whip back there. They do still have a shield remaining, but Excadrill will easily outpace here and cannot be farmed down before this drill run lands. They don't look to catch. So that means we're saying bye-bye to the Venusaur, and that is a massive obstacle out of the way for our two fairies in the back. They've got a Dugong, so going to bring in Charm A9 here. Shields are down, but the squishiest Pokemon that needs the shields most is off of the field and out of this battle here. So they're going to go for their drill run here. That's what you do when shields are down. And Granny Singapore going to look to go for the Psyshock here. Of course, that is going to be hitting for neutral. And if they throw an alignment, can catch, and does catch, gets the bubble sneak through, playing it to perfection. The Dugong is just about done. You'll want to absorb that and preserve your Charm A9 for what they have remaining. It is an opposing Azu here. Now, going to be interesting to see if this Azumarill has Play Rough. Granny Singapore is going to throw immediately here. Will always be ahead by a bubble as they get that sneak through, and is ahead by a turn, provided they do get single turn bring in. And they're not running Hydro Pump either. So this is the one matchup you really want, or excuse me, Play Rough. Want Play Rough for, but you got to just go straight Hydro Pump in this mirror. That's what they are both going to be doing here. It is a very tedious matchup, if you can imagine. And this Hydro Pump will not KO, of course, but the Switch Clock is just about coming. It is up, so can swap here to get a Charm in on that Azu. They bring in the Dugong to absorb that Charm. And the Azu can make it to a potential Ice Beam and does throw it. But they are now energy dry, which means that our Azu should be able to clean up this game, no problem. Just a few bubbles off and will outpace, and that we do get to the Ice Beam, although resisted. It's enough to say bye-bye to the opposing Azu. And that was a very close matchup, but Granny Singapore gets it done in the end. Good game, well played. And Shadow Exca on the lead, very good at grabbing an early shield advantage for the team, but not with a lead like this. Gonna pivot into Azu on the Medi here, and they bring in a Steelix onto a Azumarill. Hello? Trainer? This is not an answer to Azu whatsoever. Azu is easily one of the worst matchups for Steelix in the Great League. So perhaps a misclick or a mistap by the opponent here, bringing Steelix onto Azu. This is looking like a pretty common line that we often see in the Great League, Medi double steal. Historically and classically, you see it with G-Fisk and Basti in the back, but with Steelix being so strong in the meta, a lot of trainers have opted to substitute G-Fisk for Steelix naturally. And it does very much struggle against Azu, much more than G-Fisk would. They cut the losses after shielding, and Azu just absolutely runs right through that Steelix. And there they've got the Basti, so it is the Medi double steal, the modernized version with Steelix in the place of G-Fisk. But yeah, perhaps they misclicked. Should have maybe brought Basti onto Azu, or yeah, it's rough seeing an Exca on the lead, not gonna lie, and an Azu pivot. Very tough to make that decision on the fly, but yeah, we have alignment, which means that this is not going to be trending in the right direction for the opponent. They pivot back into the Medi. This is just an ice punching Granny Singapore. Very confident that he will survive, and does. Just wanted to bank that drill run just in case things come down to a CMP tie. Excadrill very often wins CMP tie up against just about everything in the Great League. Gonna shield up the Psychic, so now shields are down, and gonna stop attacking. That's a crafty veteran move there. The opponent caught wise to it and stopped. The reason why Granny Singapore stopped attacking, in case you're wondering, is to not allow the Basti to get any additional farm. Although he has the drill run loaded, and these charms have effectively charmed it within drill run range, so yeah, just playing extra cautious here. And we're saying bye-bye to the Basti, courtesy of Excadrill. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for Granny Singapore. Good game, well played to them. Big thanks to Granny Singapore yet again for the battle submission. And if you want to see your battles on the channel featured, link in the description. You can submit your battles there. But here we go. Had a Mantine, shiny Mantine lead here for Exca. They pivot into a Sandslash, non-shadow here, which is very questionable, especially at an energy disadvantage here. But Granny Singapore going to stay in here a little bit and likely try and grab both the shields off of this Shadow A-Slash here, as a drill run would easily one-shot, and does grab that final shield. Shields are now down. That's what I mean about a Pokemon that hits as hard as Shadow Exca. Very good at applying intense shield pressure to the opponent. And now can put Azu here onto this A-Slash, which is an absolute nightmare for Charm A9 in the back here. And just have to be concerned about the switch clock. It should just about be up for them, but going to go for the Hydro Pump here. And it will be doing big damage, KOing the Sandslash. And in comes the shiny Mantine here for Azu. It makes me wonder what they could have in the back, but Mantine, quite bulky, can easily absorb these non-stab neutral ice beams from Azumarill, and maybe looking to, no, not going to try their luck on an aggressive farm down with shields down, not knowing what we have in the back here. Going to go for the Aerial Ace, take out the Azu, and going to bring in Charm A9 here onto this Mantine. Azu put in a little bit of work, chipped away at the very tanky Mantine, and these Shadow Charms are absolutely chunking here. They're not swapping out, so again, not sure what they could have in the back. Going to shield here out of caution, also not knowing what we have in the back, and just going to look to charm down. That charm that got through should KO this Mantine here, and Charm A9 will survive this Aerial Ace. Going to instantly pivot. It's a Whiscash. Oh my goodness. And does outpace to the drill run, but Whiscash can easily farm down. But if you recall, we got a charm down on that Mantine, and Whiscash does not win very many CMP ties, which means that we've got a Weather Ball here, locked and loaded, planning ahead, banking energy, and it pays off. We're saying bye-bye to the Whiscash. Doesn't even get off a move. A9 coming in clutch to close strong. Good game, well played. Man, these battles have been really fun, and superb gameplay from Granny Singapore here. And here we go. Not a good lead Pelipper, but going to stay in. Likely look to pressure an early shield on the Pelipper. Does win CMP tie. Like I said, Shadow Excadrill rarely loses CMP tie in the Great League and grabs that early shield. But going to have to return that shield in kind, and I would presume try and get out of here at some point, as Pelipper does outpace Excadrill and does win this in the twos. And is going to do just that. Catch the Weather Ball onto Azu, make them waste that very precious energy. Very precious, hard-hitting energy. It looks like they're going to stay in to perhaps rebank, and they do, as Pelipper often has double steel in the back, which we see here. We see steel type number 1, generally a Registeel, classically a G-Fisk, but could be an A-Slash as well. Pelipper double steel, and does get off that Hydro Pump, and it looks like gonna no shield the Zap Cannon. That's a very smart move. You have to preserve the shield for Excadrill. And it does not KO, but they do get a very fortunate attack drop, which means that this Hydro Pump likely will not KO the Registeel, unfortunately. That's very unfortunate, and they are going to throw, not going to risk losing alignment here, knowing that the Pelipper can easily take out the Excadrill, which is generally a nightmare for the next steel type in the back. But Exca does get one mud shot out of the deal here, fully expecting that Pelipper, and they do come back in with it. This will likely and has to grab the final shield if it is double steel. Looks like it is double steel. They do shield. It's not! It's a Clodsire in the place of G-Fisk. That's an interesting replacement. Clodsire, as we all know, about as bulky as it gets. And they are running Sludge Bomb, which is unfortunate. Generally, if they run Poison Sting, they do have Sludge Bomb, but gonna fire off the Psyshock. Does more raw damage, only getting to one move, and now Excadrill has to play this very carefully. This could be an Earthquake and a Shield out of caution. Just the Sludge Bomb bait, which absolutely is brutal. But gonna look to get to the back-to-back, and does. Excadrill has this locked up, guys. Holy smokes, putting in the work. We are saying bye-bye to the Clodsire, and we've got our Rock Slide locked and loaded for the Pelipper. Excadrill, a Wrecking Ball in the Great League. We're saying bye-bye to the Pelipper as well. Holy smokes. What an endgame. What a group of battles. That's the team, my friends. Holy smokes. Big thanks to Granny Singapore. These battles were amazing. Superb gameplay and tactics and technique. Phenomenal gameplay from Granny Singapore. As always, very much appreciated for the battle submissions. These were a lot of fun. And then again, if you want to have your battles featured on the channel, link in the description to submit your battles there. Big thanks to Granny Singapore. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.